Hi everyone and welcome back to the Netball Show in Studio B of GameFace. I'm Mel Broadley and I'm joined by Greg.
Heinrich.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Forgot about that bit.
No, all good, Mel. It's nice to be back in the studio after a week's break. I know filming the first episode we covered off a few things, but with only one game on the weekend there wasn't a lot of content for us to go through. So today we're pretty keen to bring you a bit more content for the upcoming rounds, but also to chat about a few different things as well. So
start us off. There's been a lot of talk about what's happened to your hair over the weekend. I know a lot of people came up to you, and I've had a few people inbox me on Facebook and say, well, where's Greg's dreadlocks gone?
Yeah.
So maybe we should touch on that for a bit.
Yeah, look, if you've been hiding under a rock and you haven't been following the last couple of months, I happily donated my locks to MS Research to try and raise as much money as possible. We, I guess, have had a little bit of work to do with a young girl by the name of Kiara Rochford out of Casey Netball Association who she started getting some symptoms of MS when she was going through a year 12, and over the last couple of years has been sort of battling those. Jade's brother's wife, Ash Hoddies, who used to be an elite level netballer, has also recently been diagnosed with MS. So for us, we thought we'd try and use our platform through Inspire to build a bit more awareness and also try and raise as much money as possible, because there's no cure, and I think that can be quite daunting, especially for a young girl who gets diagnosed or is in the process of being diagnosed with MS, to know that there's not really anything. There's some treatments, but there's nothing there yet that's going to cure it. So over the last 3 months we've been trying to raise as much money, and last weekend or the weekend before it was time. They came off.
Now, how long have you had them? Because I don't think I've known you without them.
No, look, I've only had them a couple of years. I had long hair for a while, but if you go back, I've had some pretty out there hairstyles. So for me, hair regrows, and it doesn't really worry me what's on top. I know that it's going to grow back, and I'm sure I'll bring out another trend-setting hairstyle in the next couple of months. Yeah,
but it was obviously very close to your heart. So we got some stats on what MS happens with a lot of Australians.
Yeah, look, I think one of the pressing things is that there's around 25,000 Australians that are diagnosed with MS, and 1 in 10 Australians are diagnosed every week. So that's quite a pretty high rate.
Yeah.
And we did an interview with Kiara in our studio not long ago, and we were just chatting to her about some of the symptoms that she has, and she's gone from being a really switched on, young girl going through her VCE now into the workplace to, I guess, having things like brain fog. And that was one of the main things that came up in our interview was, forgetting some of the things that she was wanting to talk about, and having to work off lists during the day, for her to get her tasks done at work. Loss of feeling in her lower legs. And I know that there are times where even, you think about having a hot flush, but her hot flush impacts her mood and the way that she interacts with people. And when you don't know what's going on and that is happening, and the people that love you around you are seeing these things happen, it can be quite tough. So we really wanted to push hard and get behind it. And Debbie, Kiara's mum, she is such a driving force, the matriarch of the family, and Colette Hoskinson McMahon, she really got behind the cause as well and drove the fundraising. For the team, they won the biggest team on the day for the walk. They had 120 participants.
Yeah, there's a lot of girls there.
Yeah, and raised over $11,000. And yeah, you're right, there was a lot of support from Casey. They shut down their rep training to get all their players there. And I know in and amongst the other fundraising, whether it was my hair or selling merchandise or people just getting on board and donating, I think the number's going to push up to around the $20,000, which will all go towards MS Research, and that's money that obviously is much needed. So I think for the purpose of getting rid of my dreads, it's definitely worth it. Although funny story, we did have a bit of a malfunction on the day. We got 3/4 of the way through the shave and the shaver decided to die. Half a head of hair and one little dreadlock at the back. So I frantically had to grab the shaver and hack it, getting the last one off, because I could handle wearing half a head of hair around. It's probably a new trend that I could have got going. But having one dreadlock left on the back was going to be a little bit too much to handle. So Yeah, it's. I think we'll keep trying to push that message. 3/4 of the people diagnosed are female. You know,
wow.
and our sport, netball, being predominantly female, that could be someone that is related to you, that plays at your netball club, family member. So the more we're aware of it, the more money we can raise, and hopefully we can get to a cure.
Absolutely. So we'll kick off with the season.
Yeah, let's talk netball, because that's all we're here for.
Yes. But kudos to you for doing that. I think that was a wonderful thing that you did.
Thanks,
you are
Mel.
Well known for your hair, but you're also well known for your heart. So
Thanks,
I'm
Mel.
sure Kiara and her family are really, really appreciative of what you did for them.
Yeah, it's been nice to get involved with their family a little bit more on a deeper level.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So netball kicked off for 2019 with a standalone match on Saturday down at Edwin Flack, with Berwick taking on Narre Warren.
It's definitely a grudge match that happens between Narre and Berwick. Whether it's at Narre or whether it's at Berwick, there's definitely a good rivalry there. And I think it's interesting to note, we were talking about it earlier, and you're saying that the result from Saturday definitely was an improvement on both of the games last year. Last year you guys had a tough year at Berwick, finishing on the bottom, and having some results that you probably wish didn't happen, but it is what it is, and I'm sure things are on the up with you and the girls down at the club. Yeah,
look, opening quarter, I couldn't have been happier. 2 goals down at the opening quarter. I couldn't tell you the last time that I've seen that at Berwick. Coming off the last round that Berwick played Narre last year, it was 62-36.
Yeah.
So coming out with a 13-goal loss opening round before everybody else, I'm sure Robin would have a few negatives to come out of there as our head coach and A-grade coach, but all in all, the girls looked good on the track.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, and they were fit. They were a lot fitter than they've been. So.
And I think it's one of those things where it's round one, so you're going to get some cobwebs, and I think to come out of that game only losing by such a small margin, it's a real positive, especially when you look at some of the results that came out of last year.
Yes.
I'm sure the girls are going to come back bigger and stronger in the coming rounds. And, for Narre, I think it'll give them a bit of a kick up the bum to say, right, we've got to keep pushing, and we can't settle for that. We can't settle for, second best or mediocre performance. So
they certainly kicked in at half time.
Yeah.
You could tell the diversity had completely changed after half time. But the Narre Warren supporters were quiet first and second quarter, I must say.
Okay.
Yes, I think especially the first quarter they got a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Berwick came out really hard, and it was good to watch.
And I think, if you look at it, the first quarter was 12-14 and the last quarter was 9-9. So from a Berwick perspective, to finish off the way they did, it gives them a fair bit to go with into round 2 or round 1,
yes,
which is what we'll review in a second. But yeah, chatting to the Narre girls, they've had a few changes in terms of players going up from one end to the other,
yes,
goals to defence. And
Gemma Osborne, that was a bit of a surprise on game day.
And from reports chatting to a few different people, she did quite well in the defensive end.
She did really well.
And I chatted to her before going into the round 9 match, and one of the things she was saying is that it's quite different going from being a goaler to being a defender, and it was going to be a challenge, but something that she was ready for.
But I think as a goaler, you also know how to defend your goal area.
Yeah.
So that switch isn't as much as taking a centre out and putting them in defence.
You're right.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So look, Gemma stood up well against Emma Clark.
Yeah.
Pup had her work cut out for her. Pup did quite well. Just a confidence thing sometimes, but she's really lucky to have Cassidy with us in the goals with her, and Taylor Butterworth stepped in a little bit in the last quarter as well.
Yeah, and look, hopefully Em gets a bit of support from Cass throughout the year too, because I think Cass will gain a lot of experience playing champ down at Casey in the VNL.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea, is that these young players come back to their footy netball clubs and they bring that experience with them, and that's where the success starts to generate. So whether it's the rest of this year or even looking into next year, I'm sure the Berwick, the Wicked Chicks will be up and about in no time.
Definitely, definitely. So run through the other results. We had B grade. Berwick said 29 were defeated by Narre 40.
Yep.
That's not a bad result as well for B grade.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to the A grade game. It sounds like the intensity really came out of the game after half time. Both teams started to fatigue, being the first round. So again, 11 goals. It's not a bad result, and certainly something that you guys can down at Berwick can build on.
Definitely. C grade, Berwick 27 got defeated by Narrewon 35.
Yeah.
Again, not a bad result, 8 goals.
Yeah.
We've had a late call up from the old Steve Tippett, who was a wicker way back in the time. He's coming up his 20-year anniversary. He reminds me of being in the grand final team in 1999. Actually, that's 30 years.
That's 30.
Oh,
no, it's 20. It's 20.
Oh, God. Not going so well today with my numbers, am I?
Maths wasn't, you know.
So Steve Tibbo stepped up and taken on the C grade coaching role.
Yeah,
so
great.
Those girls will really respond quite well to him, and I'm looking forward to having him back as a wicker.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah. And look, your D grade girls had a good win, 42-27.
I
know. So some positivity coming out of the weekend, even though you might not have got the results at the start in the top 3, you definitely have them in that D grade game. So, you know, well done to the girls for getting a win.
We're very happy. They were very happy.
Okay, so let's throw to Plugger's interview with Narry A grade coach Michelle Machado. We spoke about her last week. She's got a lot of passion. So let's see what she had to say with Plugger.
I'm now joined by the A grade coach of Narrewon, who've just had a win against Berwick. Michelle Machado, it must be really nice to get that one.
It certainly is. A lot of pre-seasons got into it. The girls have been training 3 days a week into the pre-season, and they're a united group, and I think it showed on the court today.
You've been elevated from a B grade premiership coach to an A grade coach now. Enjoying the role in the A's?
Yes, I certainly am. I am coaching A and B, so the girls are a great squad, and it is a step up. It was a bit daunting coming to coach A grade because, I mean, there's a lot of, not that there's pressure, but you still put it on yourself, I think, as a coach. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the year ahead.
And while I've got you, I want to talk B grade as well. They got a win as well?
It was a good win. Yeah, I'll say it is a good win. As the same again, I think for me, that's my speciality as a coach. I am one that unites a group together, and that's if I don't get the united, or how you say it, but I like a group that's well and truly bonded, and it's not a one-man effort, it's a whole team effort, to be honest.
Well, congratulations on 2 wins there as coach today, and we'll see you during the season.
Awesome, no worries, thank you.
Okay, so now that we've done the round 9 review, let's go back to round 1. There's a couple of exciting matches, and I think this is where we're going to start to see the combination of the 2 leagues come together, certainly in the Premier Division. We look at a couple of really key matches. Alinda, Narry-Warren. Narry have just come off a win, obviously, against Berwick. Alinda are the reigning premiers of the Yarra Division 1 last year, and I know we spoke about them a little bit last week. I definitely think they're one of the teams that are out there to be beat, but they're also one team that will be continuing to strive and push themselves for success, because they won't want to sit back on the premiership last year and think that it's just going to happen.
I think they'll also have something to prove coming up against one of the tough opponents in Narrewon.
From Narry, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that, again, that's probably the round or the game that will give the rest of the Premier Division an idea of how things are going to go this year in the netball.
Yeah,
the netball is going to be super strong, and I think that's the exciting part about the combination. You're taking some really strong clubs out of the Yarra and some really strong clubs out of the southeast, and we're putting them against each other now. New courts, new environments, new weather. You know, I can't say on a winter's cold day I'm going to want to go up to Alinda and play, in the blistering rain, or whether it's really cold, because that's definitely going to be an adjustment for some of the teams going out to the valley, but then also the valley teams coming down to the southeast. They'll need to adjust to that sort of different environment.
As long as there's no snow, Greg.
I don't think they've had snow. I don't think it's been that bad.
Never say never.
But last year there were a couple of games where watching the footy, you certainly couldn't see some of or half the football ground because of the fog comes in and makes it difficult for the players to not only see themselves but to see the ball coming down the court. So
we've had that in the southeast as well last year. Yeah. I think it was one of the worst weather seasons ever. I remember I was on a cruise around this time last year, and I left everyone back at home, and they were sending me Snapchats on the ship with rain. They looked like drenched dogs, unfortunately. Yeah. And I believe that would have been against Narrewon.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. So the next one is Hillsville and Upwey Tacoma. Now, I don't know a lot about these outer east Yarra Rangers teams, so I think I'm just going to leave you with that one.
More reports, hopefully they've got a couple of new girls out on the court this year. Upway have got a new coach, so they'll be keen to generate some success, having some new motivation. But there's actually a few Yarra clubs that have generated some new coaches or recruited some new coaches into the mix. So Upway are one of those. I think they'll be keen to get off to a strong start. Certainly playing against Healesville, they'll be thinking they can get a win. But I think Healesville, they won't go down easy, and they'll want to play some really good netball. So that'll be a good game to watch. Cranbourne versus Beaky. You know, it's hard to go against Cranbourne, knowing how they finished. They finished 4th last year, and they're a team. You know, Donna's done a lot of great work with that group. They've got a lot of resilience. That every year they seem to finish 3rd or 4th on the ladder. They always get through to finals, and last year they made it all the way through to the grand final.
Yeah, they were amazing to watch down there. They seem, Tara Cecil she amazes me every time I watch that girl. Yeah. She's got some height, some tenacity just on that court. I was surprised. It was a tough game that they played, Cranbourne, in that, and it was hard that they lost, but I think you're right. They've both got something to prove. Yeah,
I agree. And Beaky as well. You know, Beaky have been a bit stiff in the last couple of years, not being able to get a premiership under their belt. They've always been up there, so I think they'll be keen to showcase, you know, the same brand of netball that they've had, but they'll want to be pushing a little bit harder. And they've got Bianca's joined the Casey ranks, so you know she will have had a pre-season in the VNL. She'll be keen to come back and bring that experience back.
Do you think the loss of Kayla Hughes, though, in A grade, is going to put a dent in the Beaconsfield side? Yeah,
look, it's hard to go past the impact that Kayla has on the court. You know, she's hard at the ball, she's aggressive, she's a ball winner, and when you're in a team like Beaky and you've got somebody who can go out and get the ball, turn it over a lot and transition it down to the attack end, they'll miss her. Yeah. But I think they'll be keen to replace that role with some of the local girls coming through and, you know, hopefully generate the same sort of play that they've been able to do the last couple of years.
I'd be interested to see, I haven't actually seen their list, but I'd be interested to see where young gun Emily Kerr has ended up. She played a few A-grade games last year. Yep. Riley Nelson should still be up there.
Yeah, Riley will be there. Emily Kerr, I think, will... she'll fall maybe in that B-grade squad. Yep. They've got a really solid depth to their club, and I think it means the likes of Emily Kerr, who you know is with us at Saints playing in our development squad.
Of course she is too.
Again, building on her netball, but I think she'll probably fall in that B grade squad again. It would be hard to not see her play some games throughout the year in A grade, though.
Yeah. Look, I think Kelly's doing a wonderful job down there at Beaky. She's really changed the culture a little bit. Yeah. Not that Beaky had a bad culture, no, but she's just
bringing a fresh vibe.
Yeah, fresh vibe. Always happens at netball clubs and always works. Now the standalone game again is Wandon versus Berwick. This time it's on Sunday. Yep.
You always have to be in the spotlight, don't you?
I did not choose, please, trust me, I did not choose.
I heard you put the request into the league.
No.
To be on a Sunday?
No.
Just so you could be the only game?
No, I believe the league had a lot to do with the football. Yeah. I think it is the football premiers versus the football premiers. Yeah. And look, that had a lot to do with that. So please don't blame me.
Yeah, and you know, in the netball, I think it will be a great game for you guys to back up after the week against Narry. You know, you've got a bit more knowledge than what they have. They've had a change in coaching. They've also had a change in their playing group. So they a little bit going through a little bit of a rebuild. It'll give you guys a really good opportunity to play some great netball and hopefully come away with a win.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yep, fingers crossed. And obviously, Warri have the bye, so you know they get an extra week's rest. I don't know whether they'll train. You know, some clubs like to train on the bye just to keep them, you know, the ball in the hands and keep them fresh. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out into round 2.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's go Div 1. So Premier Division, and we've got 3 divisions to go through. So Premier Division is done. Let's look at Div 1. The match of the day is Pakenham Emerald. Now, both of these clubs are trying to generate success from the ground up. There's a lot of work and having a little bit to do with Pakenham, with Marg Jones out there. There's a lot of hard work that goes out behind the scenes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you would know exactly. You would know exactly what it's like.
On Saturday with my netball and things like that, but that's
we'll work through that.
Yeah, we all work through it. We all work through everything. Like And Marg runs a tight ship like I do at Berwick.
Yeah.
I think presidents have to. But we're really lucky in our southeast that everybody gets behind everyone. We're all very much about the teamwork, so it's great. Now, I know you mentioned earlier that Emerald have got a new coach.
Yeah, look, Emerald have brought in new coach, Trent Morrison. He's been around the Valley for a few years. He recently coached at Healesville last year. I don't know whether he was looking for a coaching role, but there were a few things going on at Emerald, and they were looking for a coach, and I think they were lucky enough to get onto him at the right time. So he'll hopefully bring in some new ideas to the Emerald team. I don't know whether he's going to work across all the squads like most of the A-grade coaches do, but the work that he does, I'm sure, will benefit the players out on the court. Interesting to note, I think this one's the round of the match, the round of the week, because Pakenham finished second bottom last year in the southeast. Emerald finished on the bottom in the Yarra Div 1. So both of these clubs will be looking to get off to a really strong start for the season.
Definitely.
And it'll be quite an even match, I would say, against those two A-grade teams. So I'm going to tip Packy with this one. I think for them, they've been doing a lot of work off the court. They've got some really good coaching staff. Karen Meredith looking after their A-grade, Matt Cook looking after their B grade. So they've had a couple of years there, and we'll start to see some of the fruits of their labour come through hopefully this season and start playing some good netball.
And just a reminder to everybody watching that they're going to be later in the day, those games.
It's a night match.
Because the boys are playing night matches in the football.
Yeah.
So be sure to check your fixtures and ensure that you know what time the girls are going to be on court.
Yep.
So match of the day tips in for us for Division 2. We've got Yay coming up against Seville. Again, don't really know these Yarra Rangers teams.
You'll get to know them, don't worry.
Will definitely get to know them.
Yep.
So what are your tips and thoughts on that one, Greg?
Oh, look, Yay, premiers from last year in Div 2, their squad hasn't changed very much. I think they'll go into this week quietly confident. Whether their game has changed or not, I don't think so. Mel Martinov is still the coach, so there's some consistency there going through this year again. Seville will be a tough opponent though. We've got one of their guns, one of their defenders at Saints, and has never played VNL and is coming out and playing some absolute fantastic netball at VNL level in the champ team. So again, she's high on motivation. Steph will come back to Seville and bring that motivation, that enthusiasm and that spark to their game. So it'll be a close one. I think Yay will get up, but it will be less than 10 goals. It'll be a tight one.
That's a good tip. I'm quite happy with that. I think I might go with you. Reigning premiers, something to prove when you come back out on the court.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like Yay might be the tip of the day. Guys out there, if you actually agree with our tips, let us know your thoughts. Get onto the GameFace Outer East Netball Facebook group and you can give us a roast if you're not happy with what you're reading or listening to with us.
I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so wrap up. Let's get onto the GameFace app. We need to make sure that we lift the stature of netball out there in the community. We're trying to do that through the Outer East Netball Show. The one way that you can view that is on the app. So get on your iPhone or your Android and download the GameFace app and go to the netball section. You can watch us all over again, which I'm sure will be exciting for the viewers.
You can also, for those clubs out there, presidents, secretaries, ladies that do, or the men that do all of the work on the social media, you can actually copy the link and pop it onto your Facebook group. So I actually did that with Wickers, and anyone that has a go at me knows that they get in trouble. So.
Yeah, and look, we want to get some feedback from you guys. We want to engage with you, so jump on the Outer East Facebook page itself for GameFace, and you can post your comments, post your photos, and you can give us your thoughts on whether our tips are on the mark or whether we're way off the mark.
Again, a big thanks to our sponsors, Swibs Locker, Body First Health Group, Sports Performance Tracking and 7 Steps to Wealth. We couldn't do this show without your support, so thank you very much.
And remember, get your GameFace on.